Well, today's video is sponsored by Black Gold Compost Company. I want to thank the folks over at Black Gold for the generous donation of 18 pallets of black cow manure. This has really got me and Nancy off to a really good start in our garden this year. We can't thank you enough. And we've been using this product. I've been personally using it since 1980, and it's been a great product for me. I highly recommend it. Thank you for sponsoring our channel. Well, I don't think there's anything that says summer any better than watermelon. We'll be right back after the break. Well, welcome back, friends. Man, I tell you, I don't know anybody that don't like a good old watermelon in the summertime. So refreshing and tasty, and nothing like a good old seed spitting contest. But anyway, today we're going to grow two different kinds of watermelon. I wanted to share that with you because this is a big step for us here. We finally got our own watermelon patch, and been looking forward to growing watermelon for a long time. We really love watermelon. It's very healthy for you and refreshing. And we're also going to grow extra for our chickens, because when it gets really hot down here, you can give them this watermelon and it revives them, it refreshes them, and it's got everything they need to get their strength back. So we're going to give them some watermelon too. So for the chickens, I'm going to be planting this variety right here. It's called Georgia Rattlesnake. This is a variety that has the seeds in it, so this is the kind you want if you want to have a seed spitting contest. But what we're going to do with these is we're going to grow a whole bunch of these, and we'll get them nice and cold, and we'll cut the heart out of them so we can have that, you know, as a snack. And then all the rest of the watermelon that's full of all the seeds and everything, we'll give that to the chickens and let them have a treat out of that. So we both get to eat this one. This is called the Georgia Rattlesnake. I got these seeds at the Eden Brothers online, Eden Brothers. So check them out if you want to get some of these types of watermelon seeds for your garden this year. And we'll go into how these things grow pretty soon, so stick with me on this. Now the next thing is I'm going to be growing is a triploid, hybrid triploid watermelon. In other words, it's a seedless watermelon. And these aren't nowhere near as big as the rattlesnakes. I mean, they get some big old humongous, you know, 2-arm watermelons. These are much smaller. They're, you know, like this. These are the kind you commonly see in the grocery store. Everybody likes seedless watermelon. That's really what you're getting, a triploid. Now, this one's called Farmer's Wonderful. I got this one at johnnyseed.com. So if you want to get some of these seeds, check them out. One thing about these hybrids, you know, they have to have a pollinator to pollinate, or you're not going to get any watermelon. So when you order these, be sure to order the pollinator to go with them. And I got these at Johnny Seed as well. And this is called a Pollinator Ace. Pollinator Ace. So I like to have these pollinators, at least one for every 3 of the seedless. I have 3 plants and 1 pollinator, at least, a minimum. More if you can get it. So that's what I'm going to be doing. So part of our watermelon bed is going to be the seedless, and the other part of the watermelon bed is going to be the ones with the seeds. So let's get these things started. I'm going to start off these with seeds in the seed starting trays, and I'm going to save some of these rattlesnakes, and I'll plant direct sow some of the seeds over in the watermelon bed. But I'm going to have a little bit of both. I'm going to have the starters, and I'm also going to direct sow some. So let me get these. I got the trays ready. Let me pre-moisten these a little bit and get these seeds in here, and we'll get them over in the grow rack and get these things germinating so we can get them in the ground. Let's get started. Let's start off with some of these pollinators. I'm just going to put one seed per cell. Well, there we go. Got us some watermelon off and running. I got 2 trays of the seedless watermelon and 2 trays of the rattlesnake watermelon, the ones with the seeds, and I've also got 1 tray of the pollinators. So I think we got enough to get us going. We just got to give this some time in this warm sun to get these things germinating. You keep in mind when you want to grow watermelon that these watermelon like hot weather. They love it. So don't try to plant your seeds too early. Here it's today's March the 15th here in Florida, and I'm already 88, 89 degrees during the day. So it's okay for me to plant early in March, but folks that live a little further north than Florida, you need to wait until those temperatures get on up. You want that soil to be nice and warm before you try to grow watermelon. They just won't make it. So anyway, keep that in mind. We'll be back in the days ahead. We'll watch these germinate, and I saved back some of the rattlesnake watermelon to direct sow. I saved back some of the seeds so I can direct sow them when we get over to the watermelon patch. So we'll be planting some of these plants with some direct sow seeds in there with it. So we'll be doing a little of both. So we're excited. I can't wait to get it going, and we'll be back in the days ahead and watch this progression all summer. Got to be patient because they take a long time to grow. So we'll be back soon. Well, our watermelon seeds have already germinated and popped up, and it's only been 5 days. Very good. So we'll keep track of the progress of these over the next couple of weeks. Let these things get on up. There's no true leaves yet. It's all still codling leaves, but they're doing really good. So we'll be back in a couple of weeks, and we'll take a look at the progress and see how they're doing. See you then. Well, the watermelon are doing fantastic. I pulled them out of the grow rack over there, and I've got them out here on the hardening table for the last 3 days, and they're just about ready. I think I'm gonna give them 1 more day. These right here are the pollinators. They're doing great. And right here is the seedless. Take a kind of a close-up look at the seedless watermelon. You notice how they're a little bit smaller, but they're getting there. They've got true leaves, and they're just smaller by nature. So we'll be getting those ready. And over here are the rattlesnake, the Georgia rattlesnake. These are the ones with the seeds, remember? And you can see they're much larger plants than the seedless watermelon. So they're off and running, they're ready to go. So we'll be back in the next couple of days. We'll get the watermelon patches already ready to go. I've already got that tilled in and ready, and me and Nancy will get out here together. I'm gonna have to have some help with all these things. So we'll be back in a couple of days, and we'll get these things in the ground. See you then. Well, good morning. It's time to get started on installing our watermelon plants. And I think y'all remember last year when we released the video on how to prepare the watermelon patch. You know, we talked about how much area every single one of these little hills of watermelon are going to need. They're going to need 25 square feet per plant. That's critical. And we talked about it's going to definitely need irrigation because they like water. So today we're going to go out and we're going to put in the plants, and I wanted to walk through, you know, what we're going to be doing out there with you. And this is the little diagram I got for how to install them. First of all, of course, we're going to need the 25 square feet of area for each hill that I make, and that's a minimum of 5 feet by 5 feet. So keep that in mind whenever you're setting up your watermelon patch. Don't crowd them up. They got to have room to run. Them vines want to run. Another thing is you want to wait until it's 60 to 70 degrees at night, because you can put your plants out there and you have a little cool snap if it goes down in the upper 40s or so, you could very well lose your watermelon. So be patient and wait for that warm temperature to get here at night. So when you put them out there, you'll have peace of mind, and those things will just thrive. They love hot weather. They do not like it cold. Your area that you're going to plant in, it needs to have loose soil because they're deep-rooted plants. So I deep tilled my garden, and I'm going to do some more down here when we talk about the diagram to make sure that that area where I'm planting is nice and soft so those roots can run just as deep as they want. Something else to keep in mind is the watermelon plants are heavy feeders. They love nitrogen. They need a lot of nitrogen. So I'm going to put blood meal in every hole. That's a good source of organic nitrogen. They're heavy. They need heavy watering, so it's very critical that you have irrigation. Unless you're just doing one or two plants, you know, one or two hills, then you can probably do it by hand with a hose. But if you're doing several hills like we're doing, you're going to have irrigation. You'll never be able to keep up with the watering requirements. It's also a good idea to add some peat into the hole when you're doing this to help a little bit on the water retention to keep it moist, because like I say, they like a lot of water. So it's a good idea to add a little bit of peat in there in the hole. Another thing to keep in mind on your watering, that these vines are prone to the white powdery mildew, just like cucumbers. So you want to be sure to water only in the morning so that it has all day to dry off and evaporate, and it doesn't sit wet overnight. So don't water these in the afternoon. You want to water them first thing in the morning so it has all day to dry out. Be patient on your watermelon because they're going to need 100 to 125 days to harvest. And even then, you still may want to give it some more time, and we'll walk through that process on part 2 of this video. We'll talk about when to harvest them and how to tell when it's ready. Now you want to make sure that your watermelons are getting full sun. They like lots of heat, just as much sun as you can get them all day. You want to mound your installation, and if you're going to be doing it by direct sow, we'll talk about that in a minute, but you want to mound them and make a hill. And you want to direct sow about 8 seeds per hill, about 1 inch deep. And then after they get going, you'll thin them down to about 3. Now let's zoom up right here. I want to take a closer look at this diagram with you. Okay, there we are, a little closer view here. Now, when you get ready to do your hills, when I'm talking about a hill, I'm talking about basically a crater. What I'm going to do is I'm going to dig a hole about 24 inches in diameter and about 18 inches deep. I'm going to take the soil that comes out of that hole and I'm going to make a berm right around the whole circumference, the whole diameter of this hole that I dig, and I'm going to make it about 6 inches high. The reason I want to berm that up is I want to be able to capture any irrigation that's coming in this way, or rain, fall. I want it to be captured in here like a basin, which will bring that water right on down to the bottom of that root system, just because they just love the water. So make sure that you berm up your hole. Next thing you want to do after you get your hole dug is I'm going to be using fish. That's a great fertilizer. If you can get fish at a local bait store, or if you, like we just go down to the dam down there and we'll throw a cast net and catch up a bunch of gizzard shad and chop them up, and that's what we use in the hole. Gizzard shad's a great fertilizer. I don't really eat gizzard shad, but it sure makes a great fertilizer. So anyway, that's what we're going to be doing. And when you put the fish in the hole, be sure to cover it with some pulverized dolomitic limestone, plain old garden lime. If you don't, the smell of that fish down there decaying, it's going to attract animals and dogs and things. And they're going to come over and dig up to get to that fish, and sure enough, they're going to dig up your plants. So be sure to lime it. Next thing you do once you got the fish in the hole is you want to backfill this hole with a new backfill. And what I use is 1 part peat, 2 parts black cow manure, and 1 part topsoil. I'll blend all that together and I'll backfill this up and I'll mound it up. See how I got a kind of a hill? I want to hill that up. Now, today when we go out there, I'm not going to be able to use the peat or the topsoil because of, you know, the health conditions. We're not able to go into town because we're on stay-home orders because of the sickness that's going around. So I'm going to go ahead and just go with just all black cow manure for my backfill. But if it wasn't for the stay-home order here in Florida, I would have gone down and got some peat and some topsoil to mix together. So normally that's how I would do this. But today you'll see us out there, all I'm using in the black cow, and that's the reason why. But anyway, you want to backfill in a nice big backfill and mound it up where it's a hill. See, when I'm talking about a hill, that's what I'm talking about. It's a hill there. Then when you put your plant in, I usually like to put in about 3 or 4 plants per hill, okay? Since it's 24 inches, at least 3 or 4. And these vines are gonna run out of here, and they're gonna run across the ground. And if you're lucky, you know, a good harvest, you'll get 1 watermelon, at the most 2, off of a single plant. So it's not a high yield, but it's worth it. But you know, on like sweet potatoes, for example, the vine would run and it would hit that leaf node right there. And if it's touching the ground, it would root out and it would make more potatoes. And this one would root out and make more potatoes, and this one would root out. But watermelons don't do that. They just have a long run, and then out here somewhere along the end of it, it's going to develop the melon. So that's why you need a lot of space, because the vines have to run and get very mature and very healthy before they'll produce the melon. So that's what you're looking for. 1 or 2 melons at the most, and they're going to be a long time getting here, so be patient. All right. I'm going to be adding blood meal in the hole when I put in this little plant. We started them from seed, remember? And for the seedless watermelon, I have to add in a pollinator to go with it. So I put in 3 pollinators in each hill, and at least 2 seedless watermelon seedlings. That way the pollinator will pollinate the seedless watermelon plants, because without the pollinator, of course, it won't produce a watermelon. So keep that in mind if you're doing seedless. Now on our rattlesnake, Georgia rattlesnake watermelon, they're the watermelons that have seeds in them already, and they pollinate, they're self-pollinating. So we don't have to put a pollinator in with that type. So we're growing that type basically for our chickens, so they have a healthy, refreshing watermelon in the heat of the summer. So that's how we're doing it. After you get these plants start to get some traction, you're going to have to put in a side dress these things with a heavy dose of blood meal about every 2 to 3 weeks. So come back and keep them fed, because they're big, heavy feeders. And watch your water. So this is it. I think we're about ready to go on out here and get started getting these things in. We'll put this little diagram here on our Facebook page, as well as our community tab on our YouTube channel, if you want to download this JPEG and you know, refer to it later. So anyway, we're ready to get started and get these watermelon on the road. So we'll see you out at the Earth Garden. Well, we got her done, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
We put in 40 hills of watermelon. Took us 2 days to get it done because we're getting kind of old and we couldn't hang with it. And we couldn't get it all done in one day. Picking up all them bags of cow manure kind of wore me down. But anyway, we got her done. We got the irrigation running, getting it all watered in just right. So we'll be looking forward to the days ahead as this watermelon grows and turns into some beautiful vines. So, you know, be sure to stay tuned for part 2 of this video because we're going to watch the progression of all these watermelon vines all the way out until we harvest and cut some open. So that'll be coming out shortly. So anyway, we hope that our videos brought a smile to your face and a little joy to your day. And until me and Nancy and Bing Bing see you next time, always remember, by His hands we are fed. Give us, Lord, our daily bread. Amen.
Have a blessed day.